Everyone mocked Ethan, the young master of the prominent Hale family in the capital circle, for marrying a naive girl. The so-called naive girl smiled happily every day, until the baby in her belly was aborted by Ethan with his own hands. Luna, the naive girl, stopped smiling. But Ethan, the young master, went crazy.
Welcome to listen to my full sweet love series novel. I'm the blogger and I'm Twilight's novel. Now let's start the main story.
Ethan, we've done our duty by taking care of her for 3 years. Just because she saved you back then, do you have to sacrifice your whole life for her? There are many ways to repay a kindness, not necessarily by marrying someone. I stood aside watching the mother and son talk, unconsciously clutching the corner of my clothes. Since Sophia came, Mrs. Hale, Ethan's mother, seemed to dislike me more and more. Although I was naive and slow in response, I could still understand some of their meanings. They wanted me to break up with Ethan. After all, Sophia was the daughter-in-law she had in mind. Moreover, Sophia was Ethan's first love. They said that someone like me, who clung to Ethan using a past kindness, would never occupy a place in his heart. Now that Sophia was here, it was time for me to step down from the position of Mrs. Hale. But Ethan and I had already been engaged for a long time. Every night, we would even play intimate little games together. Our relationship was good. Just because I was naive and slow, did I have to give in? My eyes red with tears, I looked anxiously at the man beside me. Ethan was elegant and dignified. The sunlight fell on his sharp-featured face, making him extremely handsome. His deep, charming eyes held countless emotions, unfathomable as an abyss. Anyone who met his gaze seemed likely to sink into it. But the air around him was so cold that, if one wasn't used to being with him, it would be unbearable. Ethan spoke in a cold tone with no expression on his face. "Mom, the Young family and ours had already agreed on this marriage. Even if Luna hadn't saved me back then, she would still be the rightful wife of the Hale family. Besides, she can't live without me." As he spoke, his warm large hand covered my small one, and my heart seemed to settle down at that moment. Nonsense. She's naive and slow-witted. Do you really want to spend your whole life with her? Mrs. Hale stood up angrily, her eyes staring at me as if they were about to spit fire. I flinched instinctively, and immediately after, Ethan pulled me into a warm embrace. "Mom, you're scaring Luna. Look at her. She hides behind you at the slightest thing. She's disgraced our Hale family enough." Mrs. Hale trembled all over with anger. Although I was scared, I didn't want to see mother and son turn against each other. Fighting back my reluctance, I pushed Ethan, who was shielding me, aside. "Auntie, don't be angry anymore. I won't hide behind Ethan from now on." "Don't call me Auntie." Her chest heaved with anger. Her well-maintained face was contorted, and her eyes looked at me with undisguised disgust. "If it weren't for you, would my son have the nerve to talk back to me? You're a jinx. Please just leave our house, can't you?" Faced with her obvious malice, I couldn't hold back any longer. Big tears fell heavily from my eyes. Everything had changed since Grandpa passed away. It seemed like everyone hated me. No one could tolerate me. Crying again. That's all you know how to do. You've cried away all the good luck of our Hale family. Auntie, don't be angry. Luna isn't mature enough mentally. Don't argue with her. A gentle female voice rang out, and Sophia's bright, tender face appeared before my eyes. She was graceful and poised, just like a white swan, while I was nothing but an ugly duckling that set off her beauty. When Ethan saw her, the coldness around him faded a little. Even the hand with which I was holding the corner of his clothes was gently pulled away by him. He unconsciously moved closer to Sophia, and sunlight fell on both of them. A rare smile appeared on Ethan's face. They looked at each other, as if nothing else in the world existed. I remembered a word Uncle Jean had taught me, well-matched. Ethan was a man born into privilege, and Sophia was a rising film queen in the entertainment industry. But I was just a naive, slow-witted person. No matter how you looked at it, Ethan and I were not well-matched. Without me they would be so happy. Who knows how much? But if I hadn't saved Ethan back then, I would have been an excellent person too. Although gratitude had played a part in our relationship, if Ethan hadn't been willing, who could have forced him? After all, I was his legally married wife. Look at Sophia. If you had married her, would I have to suffer like this? Enough, Mom. Luna is my wife now. Don't say things that might cause misunderstandings in the future. It will make Luna sad. Ethan seemed to come to his senses suddenly and turned to look at me. There was a smile in his eyes. I wanted to smile too, but tears fell again. I didn't know why, but I just felt an overwhelming sense of grievance. Since Sophia had come, there seemed to be an extra person in this family. That extra person wasn't Sophia. It was me. Bursts of laughter came from the living room. Mrs. Hale and Sophia got along very well. But I could only watch silently from the side, like a mouse in the gutter. I comforted myself over and over again. Even if they all disliked me, I still had Ethan. He had said he would stay with me forever. He would protect me forever. I didn't know when the voices from the living room died down. When I woke up, it was already dark outside. Madam, you didn't eat lunch. Please have something for dinner. The young master has a banquet tonight and won't be coming back. He told you to rest early. Uncle Zhong spoke as he gently knocked on my door. I hadn't eaten much all day, and my chest still felt stuffy and uncomfortable. I was about to refuse when my stomach rumbled in protest. All right then. I couldn't let myself go hungry. I put on my shoes and went downstairs, planning to ask Uncle Zhong about Ethan's situation. Suddenly, Ethan's handsome face appeared on the TV. Before I could feel excited, another delicate and bright face squeezed into the frame. It was Sophia. The two of them stood together. He was handsome and she was beautiful, a perfect match. Mr. Hale, is it true that the position of Mrs. Hale will soon be taken by someone else? You brought Miss Sophia to this event. Does this mean you intend to announce your relationship officially? Ethan's face was cold as he was about to speak, but Sophia stepped forward, put her hand on his arm, and intertwined her fingers with his. They were very close. As close as Ethan and I were every night when we played our intimate games. This is our private matter, and we have no comment. An aura of stay away emanated from Ethan. He hated it when women used him to gain attention. In the past, he would fly into a rage whenever this happened. But this time, he didn't clarify anything. My heart suddenly felt as if it had been squeezed tightly, and a rush of blood surged to my head. I ran out of the villa as fast as I could. No, I had to go find him and ask for an explanation. What was their relationship, really? Madam, where are you going so late at night? Uncle Zhong's anxious voice came from behind me. But I had no time to pay attention to him. Right now, I was desperate to get an answer. At the banquet, glasses clinked and conversations flowed. Every man and woman present was dressed in glamorous clothes. But Ethan was the only one in my eyes. I was desperate for an answer now. If he really didn't want to be with me anymore, then I would leave. Grandpa had said never to waste your life on someone who doesn't like you. You have to follow your heart. Ethan was the center of attention wherever he went. Outstanding and eye-catching. I spotted him immediately, surrounded by reporters. Sophia stood beside him, and Ethan naturally shielded her behind him. My nose tingled, and I suddenly rushed forward. Ethan, tell me, do you like me or not? My eyes were red with tears as I stared at him, clutching the hem of my dress tightly. But the dress had gotten wet somehow and stuck to my body, making me extremely uncomfortable. Even so, I was desperate for an answer. What are you doing here? Ethan frowned at me. There was no joy in his eyes, only deep displeasure. Of course. He had never allowed me to attend events like this. Don't worry about that. Just answer my question first. I looked at him eagerly, but he pressed his lips together and said nothing. The reporters, however, swarmed around me. Miss Luna, did you show up suddenly because you're afraid of losing Mr. Hale? Mr. Hale was kind enough to take you in, but you're using that kindness to cling to him. Isn't that unreasonable? Yes, Miss Luna. Since you're not mentally mature, can't you step aside for Mr. Hale and let him find someone more suitable? Miss Luna, you shouldn't be ungrateful. When do you plan to give up your position as Mrs. Hale? Questions from the reporters poured in. But I could feel that all their questions were directed at me. Why were they targeting me? Everyone, please stop pressuring Luna. She isn't mentally mature enough to answer your questions. Sophia's gentle voice rang out. She was like a tender swan, elegant, poised and radiant under the lights. I looked at her in the direction of her voice, and my eyes immediately turned red. A wave of dizziness hit me, and the next second, I lost consciousness. "How is my wife?" The doctor's voice sounded serious. "Your wife is pregnant. How could you let her get caught in the rain? Now she has a fever, and we can't give her medication. We can only reduce her temperature physically. You must be more careful from now on. Never let her get sick again." Ethan was silent for a long time before responding with a single word, "Okay." From the nurse, I learned that I was pregnant. "Ethan, they said there's a baby in my belly. Is that true?" I slowly placed my hand on my lower abdomen and stroked it gently, my eyes filled with tenderness. Ethan nodded and replied, "Yes. Then we'll be a family of 3 from now on. Grandpa said a family of 3 is the most stable. We can stay together forever." I smiled brightly, but Ethan didn't seem happy at all. "That Luna is pregnant? Are we going to let her give birth to a mentally underdeveloped child to ruin our Hale family? Isn't one enough?" When Mrs. Hale heard the news of my pregnancy, her eyes were almost blazing with anger. She suddenly stepped forward, grabbed my arm, and snapped, "Come with me. We're going to the hospital to have an abortion right now. This child can't stay." "No. I won't do it. This is my baby." I struggled desperately and instinctively hid behind Ethan. As expected, Ethan stepped forward and stopped her. "Mom, you'll scare her if you act like this." Mrs. Hale immediately grew frantic. "Haven't you been harmed enough by this woman? Do you really want to drive me to my death before you're satisfied? This child can't stay, otherwise your whole life will be ruined." My eyes filled with tears as I looked at her. "Auntie, this is your grandson. Why don't you want him?" Grandpa had said that as long as I had a child, Ethan and I would be able to live happily together forever. Even Mrs. Hale would be nice to me. But now that I was pregnant, why was everything so different from what Grandpa had said? "Take a good look at yourself. You're not mentally mature, and you still want to ruin our Hale family? I don't need you to give me a grandson. There are plenty of people who are willing to have children for our Hale family." "That's enough, Mom. Let's not talk about this anymore." After saying that, Ethan carried me back to the bedroom. Thank goodness Ethan was on my side. I held on to him tightly, afraid of losing this last lifeline. After I got pregnant, Ethan became much gentler towards me. It was like we had gone back to the past. The past before Sophia arrived. Since Sophia had appeared, Ethan had been ignoring me from time to time. But now at least I had my baby. I stroked my belly, a happy look on my face. "Luna," Ethan's gentle voice sounded. When I looked up at him, I noticed a hint of guilt in his expression. But I was so immersed in the happiness of being pregnant that I didn't pay any attention to it. "Let's go to the hospital. It's time for your prenatal checkup." A prenatal checkup would let us see if the baby was doing well in my belly, so of course I agreed. I skipped along beside him as we went to the hospital. But this prenatal checkup wasn't like what I had imagined. Ethan looked extremely solemn, and even the doctor who examined me had been changed. The doctor looked at me with an unusually serious expression. "Ethan." A bad premonition suddenly came over me, and I panicked instantly. "It's okay." Ethan gently took my hand and comforted me. "The baby has a little problem this time, and the doctor needs to treat him. Don't be afraid. You don't want the baby to feel uncomfortable, do you?" As soon as I heard that the baby might be uncomfortable, I shook my head immediately. I didn't want the baby to suffer at all. "I'll cooperate obediently." Ethan stroked my head gently and whispered, "Just sleep for a while and it will be over." I was pushed into a small room with bright lights. The doctor gave me an injection, saying it was nutrients the baby needed. For the baby's sake, I bit my lip and didn't make a sound. But for some reason, after the injection, my eyelids grew heavier and heavier. In the end, I couldn't hold on any longer and fell asleep. When I opened my eyes again, I was already in a hospital ward. Ethan was sitting by the bed, looking worried. When he saw me wake up, he immediately asked with concern, "How do you feel? Does it hurt? Is the baby okay?" I looked at him eagerly. An unnatural look flashed across his face. He nodded and said, "The baby is fine now. Just lie down and rest well. I have work at the company, so I'll come back to see you tonight." Hearing that the baby was okay, I was overjoyed. As long as I had the baby with me, nothing else mattered. I excitedly stroked my belly. But soon, an unexpected visitor arrived. It was Sophia. Sophia looked at me, her eyes full of sarcasm. The baby is gone, so what's the point of touching your belly? My heart sank sharply. I glared at her fiercely. You're lying. The baby is still in my belly. Ethan was afraid you'd give birth to a mentally underdeveloped child, so he tricked you into having an abortion. Do you really think he loves you? He could easily give up your child. What about you? Do you still want to cling to him and not let go? Sophia stared at me harshly, completely losing her previous gentleness and grace. She looked like a devil climbing out of hell. I was so scared that I shuddered all over. I instinctively wanted to run out. But as soon as I reached the door, my legs gave way, and I fell to the ground. A hollow feeling came from my belly. My face turned deathly pale in an instant. The baby seemed really gone. Miss Luna, what are you doing? You just had an abortion. You can't get out of bed and walk around. A nurse ran over to help me up, her tone full of worry. When I heard the words abortion, I completely broke down. Who allowed you to take my baby away? That's my baby. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you say anything to me? This was Mr. Ethan's decision. There's nothing we can do about it. The nurse looked embarrassed as she spoke. It was Ethan. I was completely stunned, and his guilty expression from earlier kept popping up in my mind. It turned out that his gentleness towards me before was just to trick me into coming to the hospital and taking my baby away. A fishy sweet taste suddenly filled my mouth. The next second, I lost consciousness again. Ethan, the nurse just slipped up and said it by accident. Luna isn't mentally mature. She'll forget about this soon. Don't worry too much. Sophia's voice was full of deep remorse, but Ethan beside her didn't say a word. When I opened my eyes again, Sophia immediately rushed over excitedly. Luna, are you okay? When I came to see you, you suddenly ran out like a madman. I was so scared. Luna, are you okay? Ethan's voice was still gentle, and his eyes were full of worry for me. But the moment I saw him, I raised my hand and slapped him hard. A fierce anger burned violently in my chest. It was him. It was he who had killed our baby with his own hands. Luna, how could you hit Ethan? He stayed by your side all night. Sophia looked at Ethan with an expression, as if they were the real couple. Sophia, this is between Luna and me. Stay out of it. Ethan turned his head away. When he looked at me, his eyes were slightly red, and the red mark of my slap was clearly visible on his fair face. Luna, I was wrong about this matter. But your current physical condition really isn't suitable for having children. Why? Is it just because I'm the mentally immature person you all talk about? I stared at him coldly and said word by word, that was my child, and you didn't even give him a chance to stay. Ethan, I hate you. Later, Ethan took me back to the villa. After that incident, he came home earlier and earlier every day. I didn't know if it was because of guilt. But no matter how he tried to make up for it, my baby would never come back. I lay on the soft big bed, and moonlight poured in through the window onto me. For the first time, I had the idea of running away from Ethan. I really couldn't stay with someone who had killed my baby. Grandpa had said that I was just a little slower in reacting than others, not really stupid. But just because of that, in their eyes, I wasn't even qualified to have my own child? Luna, it's been so long. Aren't you going to forgive me yet? Suddenly, Ethan reached out from behind and pulled me into his arms. Feeling his breath on me, I felt an overwhelming sense of disgust for the first time. I didn't say anything, and the air fell into silence instantly. He suddenly got up and pressed me under him, his hot body clinging tightly to mine. I had asked the doctor about this action before. It was how babies were conceived. The thought of my unborn baby made a wave of anger surge up in me. I kicked him off the bed with all my strength. The desire in Ethan's eyes disappeared instantly, replaced by deep displeasure. He seemed very unhappy with my refusal. That incident was so long ago. Do you really need to hold on to it forever? Or are you going to give me up because of that piece of unformed flesh? That piece of flesh? So our baby was just a piece of flesh in his eyes. Get out. I don't want to see you. Get out of here. I hit and kicked him, and Ethan clearly didn't expect me to react so violently. He hesitated for a moment, then got up and left without looking back. I was left alone in the room, and a cold feeling instantly enveloped me. I started to miss Chloe. Chloe was my best friend. If she were here, she would definitely stand up for me. A concerned voice from Sophia came from the door. "Ethan, how could Luna hit you? Come, let me check." After that incident, Sophia somehow moved into the Hale family's house directly. Mrs. Hale was very happy and asked after Sophia's well-being every day. People who didn't know the truth would even think Sophia was her daughter-in-law. But I didn't care anymore. My mind had been in a mess lately, and I often recalled bits and pieces of the past with Ethan. These images felt strange to me, and I needed time to process them. At the same time, my emotions were gradually returning to normal. Especially after every fight with Ethan, my head would ache terribly. I thought, I was probably going to not need him anymore. "Ethan, I want a divorce." When they heard this news, everyone in the room had different expressions. Mrs. Hale, who had never smiled at me before, immediately stepped forward and held my hand. "Good girl, you've finally come to your senses? I knew you were a sensible child. It's wonderful that you think this way. After the divorce, if you want to eat the dishes I cook, just come over any time. I'll always welcome you." Before the divorce was even finalized, Mrs. Hale had already changed how she addressed me. "Mom, Luna is talking nonsense. How can you take her seriously?" Ethan shielded me behind him. "You know very well that Luna can't live without me. Moreover, Luna became like this to save me back then. I have to take responsibility for her for the rest of my life." "What are you talking about? There are many ways to repay a kindness. Even if you two get divorced, she can still live in our house. At worst, I'll adopt her as my goddaughter later." "Mom, I said it. Luna can't live without me. Stop saying things that easily cause misunderstandings from now on. My wife can only be Luna." Without another word, Ethan pulled me into the bedroom. He threw me onto the bed roughly. Then he leaned over and pressed me under his body. His eyes were filled with anger. "Luna, what do you mean by this? It was just a child. Do you really have to hold a grudge about it until now?" My eyes turned red, and my voice was choked with sobs. "Ethan, you said you would make me happy forever. But now, when I'm with you, I'm not happy at all." He seemed to be hit by something. The look in his eyes as he stared at me gradually filled with remorse. "I'm sorry, it's all my fault. I'll make it up to you well from now on. Let's live a good life together." He held me tightly in his arms, so tightly that it felt like he was trying to merge me into his bones and blood. But it was all too late. I didn't want him anymore. Lately, I had been dreaming of Grandpa constantly. Grandpa missed me a lot. And I missed him too. Grandpa. After waking up from the dream, I saw a fruit knife not far away. No one in this world liked me anyway. It would be better to go and accompany Grandpa sooner. Sophia had once told me that if you bleed too much, you would die. Thinking of Grandpa's kind face, I unconsciously gripped the fruit knife tightly. "Grandpa, I'm coming to you." When Ethan came back, he brought the small cake I loved. "Ethan, it's bad. Luna cut her wrists." The small cake fell to the ground, and I watched from above, floating in the air. Ethan rushed toward the room like a madman. He picked up the blood-soaked me and ran to the car. "Hurry! Go to the hospital." Until I was pushed into the operating room, his face remained deathly pale. I floated in the air and looked at him. This was the first time I saw such intense worry on his face. Usually, although there were expressions on his face, most of the time it was cold. Completely different from his out-of-control look today. "Ethan, don't worry. Luna will be fine for sure." Sophia comforted him beside him. She tried to reach out, but Ethan's cold glare froze her in place. "What are you doing here? Move out of the Hale house. If it weren't for you, would Luna be angry with me? We were doing well before. Why did you have to come and disturb us?" Sophia's eyes turned red instantly. "Ethan, I just came to visit the family. I didn't do anything. How could you say that about me?" "Yes. Ethan. This matter really isn't Sophia's fault. It's her who couldn't think straight and tried to commit suicide. But if this Luna really dies, we'll be able to live in peace instead." Ethan shot a warning look at Mrs. Hale. Mrs. Hale immediately shut her mouth. Soon after, she pulled Sophia away. Ethan stood alone in the hospital corridor, filled with deep regret. "Luna, it's my fault. Please don't be in trouble. Unfortunately, my life was finally saved. But I didn't want to wake up, so I could only lie in the hospital like a vegetative person. Unexpectedly, Ethan didn't dislike me at all. Instead, he took meticulous care of me. Luna, I've thought a lot these days. You're right, it was all my fault before. I should have respected your thoughts. Don't worry, when you wake up, I'll listen to whatever you say. Ethan held my hand, his eyes full of tenderness. I watched him from the side and spoke slowly. Will you also listen to me about the divorce? He didn't hear me. He just wiped my body as usual, then went back to the desk beside me to work. Ethan was really busy. Apart from endless meetings all day, he also had to sign hundreds of documents. I felt tired just watching him, but he never seemed to get tired, like an indefatigable robot. He always held my hand and smiled, saying, Luna, I'll work hard to earn money for your small cakes, okay? The me on the hospital bed didn't respond at all. I frowned from the side. I don't want to eat your small cakes at all. Ethan, Luna has been in a coma for so long. If she were going to wake up, she would have woken up already. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life with this mentally impaired person? As time passed, Mrs. Hale began to come and persuade Ethan every now and then. Sophia is a good girl, and she has you in her heart. Her family background is a little worse than ours, but she's still better than Luna. If you really can't let go of Luna, I believe Sophia is willing to take care of her with you. Sophia beside her also chimed in. Yes, Ethan. I'm willing to take care of Luna with you. I'll definitely treat her like my own younger sister. Don't be impulsive and ruin your whole life because of a moment of anger. Who said Luna won't wake up? Get out of here, all of you. It was winter again. Ethan started changing me into beautiful dresses. He even learned to do makeup and applied delicate makeup on me, dressing me up like a doll. Luna, didn't you love wearing beautiful little dresses the most? Now I've dressed you up. It's so pretty. Open your eyes and take a look, okay? He looked at me with red eyes, his voice tinged with sobs. The doctor said I still had no desire to wake up. If there was no sign of waking up within 3 days, I might lie in bed for the rest of my life. I looked at myself on the hospital bed, bored. I really didn't want to wake up. I missed Grandpa. But I didn't know where Grandpa was. Sophia had lied to me. She said I would be able to see Grandpa this way. But I had been floating for so long and hadn't seen Grandpa's shadow. I seemed to feel that there was no hope left. Ethan brought my best friend Chloe over. When I saw Chloe, I was extremely excited. I tried to rush over to hug her, but I passed right through her, missing completely. You wouldn't let me see her, yet you made her end up like this? Slap. Chloe slapped Ethan directly. Chloe, who had always been afraid of Ethan before, actually had the courage to do this for me. My nose felt sore, and I began to regret listening to Ethan's words and stopping contact with Chloe. I liked playing with Chloe before, just because she never treated me like a fool. She treated me as a living person. She respected me very much. She even took me to do all kinds of exciting things, trying to awaken my memories and stimulate my brain. But Ethan got angry. He forbade me from contacting Chloe anymore, and even put pressure to send Chloe abroad. At first, I missed Chloe a lot. But as Ethan kept brainwashing me, I almost forgot about Chloe. This isn't the time to talk about this. She doesn't want to wake up now, and the situation is dangerous. Do you really want to see her lie in bed for the rest of her life? Only then did Chloe come to her senses. She grabbed the railing of my hospital bed and burst into tears. You big fool! Don't you know how stupid you are? If you don't like this man, just leave him. He's not the only man in the world. Your grandpa left you so much money. Even if you never get married, you can live a good life. Will that kill you? Besides, you have me. Do you really have the heart to leave me behind? We agreed to travel around the world together before. Are you going to break your promise? Do you even have a conscience? Chloe's words woke me up instantly. Yes, I still had Chloe. Why did I have to be stuck with a man who hurt me? Wasn't that being a fool? No. I didn't want to be this fool. With that thought, I rushed straight toward my body. Luna, you finally woke up. Chloe hugged me, crying tears of joy. Ethan beside her also had red eyes. Does the divorce we talked about before still count? I blinked and looked at Ethan. Ethan's voice was hoarse. It seemed to take him a long time to make up his mind. He softly replied, "Yes. You little girl are really something. You ask for a divorce as soon as you wake up?" After coming out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, Chloe raised her eyebrows at me. "Have you figured it out? Weren't you willing to die for him before?" I shrugged. "I haven't been happy at all lately. Grandpa wouldn't want me to live like this either." That's right. I was back to normal, and my intelligence had returned too. I remembered everything that had happened before. Not far away, Ethan looked at me affectionately, his eyes full of guilt. "Luna, I made you suffer these days. I'm really sorry. The matter with the child is even more my fault. If you encounter any difficulties in the future, you must come to me. Let's be like before, okay?" I looked at him calmly. "We can't go back. Ethan, we're completely over. Living in the manor Grandpa left me, life was more comfortable than ever before. I used to live this kind of life every day and didn't think it was precious. Now, after staying at the Hale family's house for a while, I realized that the life I used to live was like a fairy's life. It turned out that a woman was most comfortable when she stayed in her own home. Moreover, I had Chloe with me. We chatted and laughed in the manor every day, and life was very fulfilling. But today, an unexpected guest came to the manor, Mrs. Hale. "Luna, I was wrong before. I shouldn't have broken you two up. You have no idea. Sophia is a venomous woman. She took advantage of my trust and did many shameful things. The company is now in a mess because of her. Many people have withdrawn their investments, and now the capital chain is broken. Didn't your grandpa leave you a lot of money back then? You were my daughter-in-law before, so you can't just watch the Hale family collapse, right? Besides, Ethan has always been good to you." Hearing these words, I barely suppressed the nausea in my heart. Before I could speak, Chloe laughed out loud. "Oh, people who don't know would think you saved Luna's life. Let's get this straight. It was Luna who saved your son. She is your family's savior. Luna suffered from intellectual impairment because of your son. Instead of being grateful to her, you people treated her badly and even killed her child. Now that your family is in trouble, you finally remember Luna. How can there be such shameless people in the world? It's disgusting." Ugh. Mrs. Hale's face turned extremely ugly, but she still didn't give up. She stared at me. "Luna, Chloe is right. I have nothing to do with your family anymore. You killed my child, and I've already been more than generous by not seeking revenge on you. If you dare to come to my house and annoy me again, don't blame me for driving you out with a stick." Did you hear that? Get out now. Ethan also rushed over in a hurry. When he saw me, his eyes lit up immediately. "Luna, how have you been lately?" I smiled brightly. "Without you, I've been doing extremely well. I really didn't expect your family to be so shameless. Even at this point, you still want to covet my grandpa's inheritance." Ethan's face changed immediately. He turned to Mrs. Hale and said, "Mom, what are you doing talking to Luna about these things? Haven't we owed Luna enough?" "Yes. If you hadn't brought that Sophia home, would my Luna have been tricked into trying to commit suicide by her?" Chloe stared at them, her eyes full of scarlet. "Now that Luna is okay, it's because she's lucky. If you dare to come to see Luna again, I'll set the dog on you." As Chloe spoke, the big yellow dog beside her barked in agreement. Mrs. Hale was frightened. She quickly hid behind Ethan. "You people are so unreasonable. Who could have predicted what happened back then? It's her own stupidity. How can you blame me?" I sneered. "It's true that I was stupid. But the Hale family ended up like this because of your own foolishness. You invited a wolf into your house and ruined the hard work of your family for generations. It's just deserved. You." Mrs. Hale was so angry that she couldn't speak. She pointed at me and trembled all over. Ethan, however, stared at me without blinking, his eyes full of tenderness. "I will seek justice for you for this matter. Luna, I don't ask for your forgiveness. I only hope that you can be well and live happily." I looked at him coldly. "No need. I don't want to see you for the rest of my life." Ethan looked at me, and his eyes turned red instantly. "Come on, son. What's the point of talking to this kind of person?" Mrs. Hale was kicked out of the manor. She muttered and cursed as she left. The first thing Ethan did when he went back was to deal with Sophia. He had someone sell Sophia to northern Myanmar. It was said that she was sold to a red light district and lived an extremely miserable life. Ethan even specially instructed that she should be made to get pregnant and have abortions frequently. Before long, Sophia couldn't hold on anymore and got seriously ill. She was on the verge of death. As for Mrs. Hale, Ethan sent her to a nursing home. She, who had always loved showing off the most, became a joke in the social circle. Not long after, she became listless, like a deflated balloon. The Hale group could barely hold on at first, but for some reason, Ethan gave up saving it completely. He let the Hale group collapse as if he was atoning for his sins. He even sorted out the evidence of the group's tax evasion and tax fraud and turned himself in to the police station. Ethan got his wish and successfully entered prison. The Hale family disappeared from Zhongqing completely. Later he wrote letters to me, but I was too lazy to read them. I tore them into pieces and let the fragments float away with the wind. I didn't plan to forgive him. Never in this life. Later, I inherited the hundreds of millions of assets Grandpa left me and started a round-the-world trip with Chloe. From now on, I would live only for myself. Live happily and joyfully.